I'm Aria and welcome back to another speed build. So today I am building the kingdom and the village from Tangled, the Rapunzel Disney film. It's actually called the Kingdom of Corona, but I didn't really want to put that in the title. I'm sure you understand. Anyway, this video I've kind of had planned for a little while, maybe like a year. So about a year ago, I think I'd probably had my channel maybe like 2 or 3 months, and I was really struggling with builder's block and kind of self-doubt and not really knowing what I wanted to do. And one of my friends challenged me to just build basically for, I think I had like 5 hours whilst she was sleeping on the other side of the world. And she was like, yeah, just build for like 4 or 5 hours, don't delete anything, don't bulldoze anything, don't scrap anything, just build it, even if you don't like it, and just see what you have at the end of those 4 or 5 hours. And that was a real struggle. Not gonna lie, it was a struggle, because when I am in kind of one of those moods, I literally do just bulldoze. Even if I like elements of it, I still just bulldoze the whole thing. So I did that. I just built, I think, for like 5.5 6 hours, I think, on like a Sunday. I just sat and just built, and I started on this huge lot that I kind of was like, well, I don't really want to do like a huge 64 by 64 build, but I will see kind of what I can do with this space, even if I only build in a tiny corner. Like, I've got the space, you know. So I just built and somehow ended up with like a tiny little medieval styled, I think it was like a tavern or something, that kind of ended up getting expanded into a village, which then I was like, okay, well, I've got this village and I've still got all of this space, so what do I do with it? And so I then ended up building a castle, and I never ended up posting it. I didn't finish it. I kind of just had like a basic shell down, and I really liked it, but it was just such a huge build that I was like, I don't have the time at the time, you know, to finish all of this. So it's just kind of sat in my library for the best part of a year. And I was looking through my Pinterest and my library for the different, because I've got like hundreds of shells in my library, for different inspiration that I could do for like a bigger build. And I hadn't built a castle in a while, so I was thinking kind of along those lines anyway. And then when I came across that shell, it kind of sparked an idea, I guess, of a castle and like a little village. And so I was looking through Pinterest at kind of castles and things, and a picture of Rapunzel, I think, came up, or like her in the village. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I found a Minecraft recreation of the castle and the village, which I thought was really cool. And I kind of just thought, well, I might as well try and build that. Little did I know that it was actually going to be a lot more challenging than I had originally thought it would be. Reason being, we don't really get much of a look at the castle in the film. There's a couple of scenes in the beginning and then a little bit kind of near the end of different angles, but the castle as a whole you don't really see that much of. So what I have based kind of this shell and the design off of is a little kind of 3D model. I think it's actually like a Christmas tree ornament, and then there's a couple of bigger ornaments that they've released a little bit more recently in, I think it's like a collection of different models and things of the different princess castles, which I think is really cool. So I've kind of based my design and my shell off of those. They are very different to each other, like the decoration and then the model all look completely different, and I have kind of just tried my best and made it my own, because I had no idea what it actually looked like. I tried to watch the series on Disney Plus, which is a different kind of design again. So this doesn't really look anything like what you probably imagine the castle to look like, but it's kind of what I had in mind. So the main issue that I struggled with this one is that we can only go up 4 floors, and some of these turrets are really big. So I kind of had to figure out a way of making like the turrets myself, which is not a problem, you know, when we have the tool mod and really good tutorials by people like Fantasims and Sim. It's easy to get an idea of how to go about creating those things, but then actually doing it is like another thing altogether. But yeah, I used those 2 amazing creators tutorials on YouTube, which I will link in the description below if anyone would like to have a look at creating your own sort of things, to create the turrets that you will see me create in just a second. Down in this section here, the village, I have basically just thrown together a bunch of different shells. I had no idea what I wanted them to look like at the time of me building these. I didn't know kind of what size. I just had a basic kind of 4x3 box and just kind of added to it. And in terms of the roofing, I kind of just wanted to create some really nice fantasy inspired shapes, and then I basically just copy and pasted those onto the other buildings so that they all kind of had a similar style, but they all look just a little bit different. I did the same thing with the wallpaper as well a little bit later, and I really like the look of them. I had a couple of images that I'd found of the village, but to be honest, I didn't really find many that were particularly helpful, so I've just kind of created this of my own imagination. It doesn't really follow a very good layout. I tried to include the fountain and then the little like courtyard area where they do like the dancing. I don't know whether they're actually meant to be the same place or different places, but one of them I found from, I think it's Disneyland, which I think was really helpful in kind of helping me decide what I wanted to do. So I am now creating the turrets. I just started out by making this like large one, and then the smaller turrets I basically have just taken the top section of this one and saved it as a room separately, so they're both exactly the same. I made them exactly the same way. I used a couple of different debug items. There's a romantic garden fountain. This vase is from the Courtyard Oasis kit. The well is from Cottage Living debug. This little bell that I've just put in here is from I don't remember what it's called, the one with the pack that we got the butlers in. Unfortunately it doesn't save to the gallery, so when I placed it on the top of my build I then had to replace it down, which if you if you want to download this then it will be missing, unfortunately. These sofas I thought had a really nice kind of design on the back and a really nice color that matched in with the rest of it. I tried to get the same color of this like tealy bluey green, but a lot of the colors were just slightly off. Like you can see with the fountain at the bottom, it's just a slightly different color, and I couldn't quite get it right. The actual color of the roofing is kind of like a coppery, like an oxidized coppery color with that like nice green. I don't know, does that make any sense? But the rest of the details that I've used are a base game fountain, the planter box from the base game, a vampire's urn. I think the stick that I use is from maybe Discover University for like one of the banner poles, and then the flag that I've used at the top is a Journey to Batu banner. It has a really nice sun kind of decal on it, and we don't really have that many sun decal items or objects in the game. There's a base game wall decoration, this, and I think you could probably get away with some of the rugs, but that's basically it. This table I think that I've rotated upside down I think is also from the base game. And then the shelving units are from Get Famous. I end up changing them a little bit later, I think to the red swatch, because it ended up just a little bit too like white, and I've put some of the debug windows from cottage living on the front, because they don't snap to walls, which I think is really helpful for trying to create like a look like this, especially when it's not on a wall. I end up deleting the platform section that I've just kind of put it up on, because as you can see, it is absolutely enormous. It was way too big, and when I was trying to get like a decent image so that I could show Discord, I couldn't get the entire thing into the picture. So I ended up having to delete the platform that I am desperately trying to match to a wall paint right now. Yeah, so I end up deleting it, and I think I actually take out a section of the thing that I've just made, the turret that I've just made, to make it just a little bit smaller again, because it was so big. I don't know why I ended up making it so big, but anyway. Now we are on to adding some details to the actual castle itself. I'd already added all of the windows in. Most of them are from Discovery University, Strangerville, and Cottage Living. I tried to get them in the same sort of color palette, but again, it's really difficult because not all of the packs have a cohesive color palette. They're all just a shade or two off, which is kind of annoying, but I tried my best. So these wall decorations are from Jungle Adventure, I think. They don't quite snap to the corners of the builds, or the corners of the walls, sorry, so I had to alt place every single one, and I've put them on every single corner. So it took me a little while. I didn't include the floor plan in the video because it took me an entire day because I was like going backwards and forwards watching the movie, watching all of the different series that are on Disney Plus. I think there's like 4 or 5 different series on there, which I didn't realize. Yeah, and each time I was watching a different one, I realized that the floor plan was different, so then I was like tweaking it, and it was just a mess of footage. So I've cut it out, but you will see it in the tour at the end. So where I have sized some of these windows up, there's a little bit of a hole in the wall. So I found these nice decal things from, I think these are from Jungle Adventure too, and they've got a really nice sun kind of look to them, a sun kind of on them. And I liked the fact that you could size them down and they just fit nicely. Unfortunately, when you try and turn them to face the other way so that you've got like this like semicircle sun look, they pretty much clip right into the wall, and then it's really hard to reselect them. So what I ended up doing was rotating them with the tool mod and then alt dragging them with the gravity pull feature to make them kind of pull out of the wall a little bit, so then I could get hold of them again. And just to kind of make them look a little bit more the same. But I did this all the way around the bottom floor, so it kind of looks a little bit more uniform. Some of them I've had to size up just a little bit where they didn't quite fit, but I think they still look pretty cool. I then adjusted all of these corner pieces to fit nicely with them, and yeah, I think they look interesting. I ended up changing some of the color palette of the wall decorations because the white on the white, it just looked a little bit too much, and you couldn't really see them from far away. But what I am doing now is creating these nice roof decorations. From what I could see in the pictures, they had some really nice different details on them that are really kind of difficult to create in the game. So what I have tried to do is use a combination of items. There's a base game roof decoration, a vampire's grandfather clock. What else have I used? A base game mirror, the sun wall decal, and I think there's balconies from Realm of Magic, and then there's some Strangerville like roof trim decoration things that I think look pretty cool. This is completely of my own kind of imagination. This is not what the one in the film looks like at all, but I wanted to just make it look ornate and pretty. So I did this on all 3 of the big kind of roofing things that stick out. So here at the front, I wasn't entirely sure whether there were stairs or whether it was a slope, because it looks different in all of the different images that I had, so I thought I would go with stairs. So this is one of the tutorials that I use from AriaFaeYT, which I will link in the description for you, and it's basically using these concrete blocks and creating stairs out of them. I rotated them, I'm pretty sure I rotated them at 15 degrees and then elevated them at 0.25 height increments to replicate the look of the stair heights. They are functional, but they do clip when your Sims like walk up them. So they look a little bit strange, but they're functional, so I think that's kind of all that matters. I used them up like the right way, not rotated, to hide in some of these gaps. And then I think it was like right near the end of me doing the external decorations that I used a base game package in like a stone color and rotated them to make like a little bit of a trim on the edge of the stairs, just so that it kind of looked a little bit more complete, because like this, to me it kind of just looked a bit strange. But I think it looks pretty cool now that I've finished it. You'll see it in the screenshots at the end. So now we are working on the village decorations. I use pretty much all, I think it is all get together wall paints. I think there's some base game ones and some city living ones on the inside, but all of the external ones are what you see now. I wanted them, like I said in the beginning, I wanted them to look different but all kind of the same. So I used mostly this stone. I don't think I used the other stone, and then I used the brick one as well a little bit later to kind of add a little bit more detail. I thought it looked a little bit too flat when it was all kind of the same color, and I wanted to add a little bit more red to it. Because I've used lots of different roofing colors, the building itself ended up looking a little bit dull and plain and a little bit boring. So I thought it would be really nice to add this brick detail in. It just kind of brought the color palette a little bit more together, I thought, which, I mean, I am by no means, and I don't know anything about color theory, but to me it just looked nice, so that's why I did that. I think I have included a couple shops. Yeah, I think there's 4. I think I've done 4 shops and then the rest of them are houses. So I wanted the lot itself to be multifunctional, so it doesn't just have to be a residential lot. You can have it as a retail lot, I think, too. I'm pretty sure it will work. I've included a flower store. I think there's like a woodworking store or like a craft store maybe, because I've included lots of different furniture and different craftables that you can create on the woodworking table and art and that sort of thing. And I think there's a bakery. It's a cafe, but I wanted it to look like a bakery. And there is also a clothing store. I was thinking about adding some like touristy type like gifts because in one of the series I think there's like a little kid with a stall selling hats which I think is really cute, but we can't really do anything like that, so I thought I would just stick to a more like medieval theme and try and include some items that would be more time appropriate, even though it's obviously a Disney movie. It's not accurate at all, but that was kind of where my thought process was. So adding all of the windows now, I should mention the doors are from Cottage Living. I end up changing a couple of them, but I thought they were perfect for the look that I wanted. So the windows are mostly Cottage Living and Get Together, and then I've used the bigger open ones from Jungle Adventure. I thought they looked kind of the most fitting. I end up changing the color swatch of the Jungle Adventure ones to the dark wood. To me it was a little bit too dark, but once I had changed them and kind of looked from further away, it kind of looked like it matched. I added some of those awnings from the base, I think they're from the base game, in different colors to show like the different shops or where the different shops were. I end up changing, I think I end up changing the one next to this building to the right into a shop, and then a little bit later I end up swapping it again because it just didn't look right. I was adding details to the roofing, and the roofing for that particular building just looked more like a house than a shop. But yeah, I wanted to create some open doors for 2 of the shops. 2 of them I've used just normal base game doors, and then the other 2 I thought would be nice to have like open doors. So I did this by using an archway from Cats and Dogs, a half circled window from Cats and Dogs, and then the doors are Cottage Living too. I tried to recreate something similar using different items for this building. It didn't work. So I end up just sticking with this door, and this is where I go to recreate that door here again. And then I end up changing the shop to the one to the right of this. So all of this I basically recreate on the corner house because I just thought it looked a little bit more like a shop than a house. I added some ivy from Discover University to the corners. Some of them change with the season, some of them don't, but I've ended up using this in the summer to take all of the shots so they all kind of look the same color. Adding some chimneys. I end up scaling all of to 1.5. I think the ones, like the circular ones from Get Together, I think I sized up to 1.2 because they were already quite big. But the only other decorations that I add are corbels to all of the roof pieces, the trim from Cottage Living, and I think that's it. These windows are also Cottage Living. I thought they looked really cool as like extra kind of turret type things. They are by no means functional, but I still think they look pretty cool. I changed the colors so that the actual window itself is different colors, and I just thought they added a nice kind of extra piece of detail to the roofing. I've, like I said, used lots of different roofing so they don't actually match, but I still think they look cool. I added window boxes to some of the windows, and then the lanterns are from Cats and Dogs 2. And yeah, I thought they looked pretty cool. So these wanted posters I found on the gallery by Ninster. I think they're meant to be like a Wild West poster, but I still think they look pretty cool as, you know, wanted posters for Eugene. I tried to find like different ones, but that was the only one I could find. So yeah, thank you to Ninster for those, because I think they are pretty cool. I think they fit really well. So what I am doing right now is using this wire from Journey to Batu. I thought it kind of looked a little bit like it could pass as rope. It's the wrong color and the wrong texture to be rope, but I thought it looked close enough from far away, and it's the only item we have that looks anything like it, so yeah. In some of the images that I found and the footage that I found, there's quite a lot of like banners and flags and things hanging from the different houses and connecting them. Some of them have flowers, some of them have flags. So that's what I have done here. I used the same banner that I've used on the turrets, but rotated them slightly to kind of match the look of this rope. And one of them I've actually turned into like a washing line. I thought that looked pretty cool. I was going to use the debug one that we got with Island Living, but it doesn't rotate, so I couldn't fit it where I wanted it, and I wanted it strung between two houses, so this, like the stick stand things was just wrong and it didn't fit. So this was kind of my next idea, and to be honest, I'm actually really pleased with how this looks. I rotate them a lot, and I use tool a lot to create these, so you know, any kind of little movement that I made with the tool mod, they would move. It was very time consuming. I think this probably took me like another 6 hours just to do these. I ended up finding a little bit more of an effective way of doing this the second banner that I got, or the second like one of these that I got to. I started off by placing them all individually and then doing this individually. It took me forever. And then a little bit later, I realized that I could just place one exactly where I wanted it at the rotation and angle that I wanted it, and then just clone it and use the gravity pull feature to alt drag it to like the next section that I wanted it, and it didn't take me anywhere near as long. So yeah, I guess you learn. You learn. But as you can see, I've done all of those. The last thing that I did was try to recreate the, I don't know whether it's meant to be the sun or the flower. I'm pretty sure it's probably the flower. Little floor decal, or the floor decal they have when they are in like the village dancing. And we don't have anything like that in the game that I could just kind of stick down, so I ended up having to recreate it using these little like path slabs from the debug menu, their base game. There's probably a quicker way of doing this, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the building part of this. So next up will be the tour. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed it. This will be on the gallery for you. The tray files will also be on Tumblr if you would prefer to download it that way. I will warn you though, it's pretty big, so be patient. It may take a while to load, but yeah, if you do, let me know. I hope you enjoy. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone!